Hey, if you're watching this video, it probably means that you're looking for a little more information on brain spotting intensives. What is that? Why would I want to do one? And I know some of you are not blog post readers, so I figured I would just talk it through here. So, an intensive is a different model of therapy. It doesn't mean that you are someone who needs like additional help, kind of hospitalization, level of care, or anything like that. It's really longer sessions, but for a shorter amount of time overall. So, as opposed to going to therapy 50 minutes once a week for months and months on end, we're doing really intense work over a longer time during that session, but shorter time frame. Typically for my intensives, I run them for 3 hours a piece. Some folks choose to do just one. Some folks like to do them once a month or quarterly. But what we find is we're able to meet goals a little more quickly often. Couple of reasons for that. One of the big ones that I find is really this being able to laser focus in on the particular issue that you're wanting to address in therapy without getting caught up in all the day-to-day stuff. Day-to-day stressors are real, and I don't mean to minimize those or demean them or anything like that. But let's say I'm working on some trauma from my childhood. But this week, I've had changes in my job. And so I'm coming into therapy, and instead of really continuing to dig into that childhood stuff that I know is underlying a lot of my present concerns, I'm like, oh, I got a new boss. I don't know how to deal with this person. And we're making good use of that time together, but we're not focusing on what it is that you've really wanted to focus on, right? With intensives, because it is so focused and so goal directed, we're really spending that whole time like childhood. That's what we're talking about because we also don't have that week by week life happening bit. Another reason for doing an intensive model is similar to that is when you come into therapy, and this isn't really a secret that I'm telling you, but right, and even my sessions run like this, but we spend the first 5 to 10 minutes catching up what's been going on over the last week. How have you been implementing the skills? What's new? What do we need to change? So we've got about 10 minutes of that. And then at the end of session, we're spending another 5 to 10 minutes wrapping up where we're talking about, okay, what did we implement today? What are you going to carry over into next week? What's our plan? We're scheduling all of that, leaving us 20 to 30 minutes of really good, deep processing and work. Whereas in an intensive model, we're not doing that in and out every week, where we've got a 90-minute session where we're talking about, okay, what is it that you really, really want to work on? We're getting all of that information. Come in a few weeks later, okay, here's what our goals are. Let's jump in and get started. And then we've got almost that entire time to really work on that deeply with our follow-up session scheduled few weeks down the road to really process what that was like and what changes have happened. So you're getting a lot more work during that time. A couple other reasons that people like intensives are like folks who travel for work a lot or have variable work schedules where therapy once a week just doesn't work with their schedule. I have a lot of health professionals that I work with, right? And most of them work like 3 on, 4 off, or some variation thereof. I've got folks who have offices out of state. And as therapists, we're held to only practicing while you as the client are in the state that we're licensed in. And so if you're every other week in Massachusetts, I can't see you those weeks. Whereas with an intensive, we're getting a lot of that work done during the time that works for you. Parents with small children as well. Sometimes it's just not feasible for childcare purposes to have weekly sessions. Whereas again, once or twice doing a good chunk of time makes a little more sense from a childcare perspective. One of the other reasons that I really love doing intensives and I find that they're helpful for folks is the particular modality I used is called brain spotting, and you can read so much more about that on my website. But I find that through an intensive model, we can address multiple things at the same time and through different setups and lenses. So we can really spend the time that we need getting at that true core issue. So if you've done brain spotting before, you know that it works from eye position. And sometimes it takes a while for us to find the right setup, the right spot that's really getting at that issue that you want to get to. When we're limited to 50 minutes, that doesn't leave a lot of time for that deep processing. And then we've got to go through it all the next time. Whereas with an intensive model, even if it takes 30 minutes, which I haven't ever had it take that long, but even if it did, we can then really jump right in. We still have hours left to process on that or see how it changes or jump onto those things that come up like, okay, yeah, I'm processing this childhood stuff and I never really put this together before, but it's really related to there's something about that move when I was 3 that's just sticking out to me. Great, we can go ahead and follow that right now. So those are just some of the reasons for doing an intensive, and you can do them in conjunction with regular traditional talk therapy that's week to week, or you can do them just as their own thing. So if you have more questions or anything else that I could answer, I would love to talk to you about this. Feel free to fill out my contact form and I'll get in touch and we can set up a time to chat more. I hope this helped. Bye.